Time. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
Kudos to the fans.
We knew we could always count on those guys to show up and make it an unbelievable atmosphere.
Our fans are so passionate about our team.
He caught it. He caught that ball. That's a touchdown.
Three at the buzzer. Whether it be at the Jane or at PK Park or Autzen or MKA or wherever, boy, did they come strong.
You're a fan of the Ducks. I mean, you need to get involved with that deal.
Top of the arc, 3, 10! It's one a ton toward the flag. Good!
You can just see it in the way they cheer and the way that they get into the game.
Probably tells you how special Oregon is.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
Approaching the start of fall camp, the Ducks will be back at practice tomorrow as the Media Day festivities continue from yesterday into today. Some of the stuff that you will see on the big video board at Autzen Stadium is actually being recorded today. There's your behind the scenes in Oregon athletics. Ducks are number 2 in the preseason coaches poll coming out today. The national attention, the national pressure sitting on Oregon football right now. We're going to talk with Rob Mullens, Oregon Athletic Director, about that. Also, a ton of excitement around the Oregon talent. You don't end up number 2 in the preseason coaches poll without some good players on your team. The Oregon football program had 3 players on preseason watch lists for both the Bronco Nagurski Trophy and the Outland Trophy this morning. Defensive lineman Amari Washington is on both lists. Amari Washington, Coy Parrish, and Brandon Finney Jr. are all on the Nagurski Trophy watch list. The Ducks also a feature consistently for the Outland Trophy with Bear Alexander and Pancho Lalaulu joining Amari Washington on that list. Tied with Ohio State and Texas Tech for the most selections to the Outland Trophy watch list. 3 players on the Bronco Nagurski Trophy watch list, tied for second most behind Indiana. The Ducks in the conversation with all those programs competing for national championships. It's where you want to be to start the season. None of that matters until you put the pads on and see what you have first in fall camp and then getting ready for Boise State here in just about a month at Autzen Stadium. Dan Lanning, he was in the studio yesterday here in the Country Financial Studio. He was also at the podium on Media Day. That's how we begin today's show. Everything Dan Lanning said to the media to preview fall camp before our conversation with Oregon Athletic Director Rob Mullens. Let's hear from Coach Lanning.
We're back. Certainly grateful again, always for you guys and your coverage and how you follow our team. Our players are certainly very excited to get out there and get in the action. They've worked really, really hard this summer. I think anytime any of us coaches or staff get the opportunity to be away from Eugene for a little bit in the summer, we come back, we recognize how beautiful and special this place is. So we're excited to get back to work. We talk about being here and now and focusing on the moment, and that's really where our guys' focus is. We'll go ahead and open it up for questions.
You talked earlier this offseason about studying teams that have been really good in rematches. I was curious if you could open up about that or divulge any of the teams you looked at or what some of the commonalities you saw.
Yeah, it's most common in the NFL. So just more so conversations with approach and what that might look like. It's a little bit different. I won't hop into great detail on it, but there's certainly some things that I think we've learned from it and can use.
You talked about this being the most player-led group that you've coached. How important is that going to be in managing the weight of expectations in a season like this?
Yeah, I think it's important. I think you got to paint pictures for our players on things that you know are going to happen. There's going to be moments of adversity throughout the year. There's going to be moments of success. There's going to be high praise. There's going to be low praise. When those things happen, we already know they're going to happen. How do you handle that? And, making the decision in advance of, how you respond, what that looks like, and how you handle it. But certainly our players have taken a big role this summer. Expect them to continue to take a big role through fall camp and throughout the season.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about the offensive line and their progress and just kind of how big of a fall camp and month is this for this group to kind of get settled in?
Yeah, it's huge. And still nothing determined. Outside, of Poncho's played a lot of significant snaps for us. Dave's played significant snaps for us, has been injured somewhat. So he's a guy that's coming back and being able to see how that all comes together. I think this is where there's a real benefit to how we mix groups and change things up so we can see a lot of guys in a lot of different settings.
Coach, last year was maybe one of the most talented teams we've seen. This year, you talked about how it might be one of the most experienced. What has you just most excited about the potential that this group could bring onto the field this season?
Yeah, I thought we had a lot of young talent last year, and certainly a lot of talent. We lost some guys to the NFL, so we certainly lost some pieces of the puzzle, but we have a lot back. That being said, there's experience, but talking to our team, recently I said, raise your hand if you're new. There's still a lot of new faces in that room. So it's going to be about that experience and those young guys and new guys leaning on the people that have been here before on what it's supposed to look like and how it all plays out.
Coach, every year you guys go further and further into the college football playoffs, and wins and losses. How do the losses per se add to kind of the storyline here, especially coming this season? And how do the losses, how important are they? I think a lot of people get strung up with falling short, but there can be a lot of good things that come out of it.
Yeah, as much as I'd like to say you learn more, from wins than losses, that's not true. You learn more from losses. And unfortunately, that's the way everybody's season ends, except for, the team that gets to hold a trophy up at the end. So we've learned a lot from adversity, in our time here. We haven't experienced a lot of adversity, but when we've had it, we've learned a lot from it. So I think they're huge. They're huge learning moments. But I also think this is a new year. This is a new season, a different team, and there's no way that you can script it out and see how it's going to play out. But it's going to be fun, to watch these guys go execute.
I feel like a position group that always flies under the radar is the running backs. When you're returning two freshmen that had great years last year, like Jordan Davison and De'Aaron Hill, just what can you say just about the depth in that room? And when you talk about the young talent you had last year, now with an extra year of experience, just what are you looking forward to the most just about those two players coming back with that year of experience and just about the depth in the running back room in general?
Yeah, that's a great thing to really highlight in general, and that's kind of what I'm talking about is this team. I don't know that any of us knew that Jordan and De'Aaron's role would become what it became last season at this point, right? Now, fast forward, obviously they both had huge roles in our team, and now they have a lot of experience too. They played a lot on ability, right? Now they're getting the opportunity to play on what they know, using the intelligence they have, the year in the system, and now going into year two, we expect certainly really big things. Then you have some other faces that are in that room now with Dink that was injured a lot of last year that's back. Simeon, who joined us, who's had an unbelievable offseason, right? Brandon Smith, who's done a really good job. So it should be a good group. It'll be a different group. We'll have to figure out what our strengths are, what our weaknesses are. But and you lose some veteran leadership when you lose a guy like Noah, right? But those guys have really learned a lot of those habits from Noah and how he operated every day.
Coach, how would you compare this year's team going into camp from a talent and a leadership standpoint to your last national championship team at Georgia? From going into camp, we already know the outcome of what happened with Georgia, but how would you compare the two teams going into fall camp?
So far ago, remembering that moment specifically and what that looks like going into fall camp, I think we've always, as a coach, you're somewhat of a pessimist sometimes on what you are really capable of, what you have, and you really just focus on problems. We had problems then that we wanted to fix at Georgia, no different than we have things that we want to fix right here at Oregon. But both teams were certainly talented. Both teams had good experience coming back. So I think that in that piece that we're very similar.
We talked about last season as an outlier in terms of youth and first-year talent. What did you learn from coaching that team that you can bring to this more experienced team this year?
Yeah, you learn a lot of lessons in coaching every single year, and I wouldn't say that I learned more last year in comparison to any other year from coaching. But just I think guys will meet the level of the expectations of the coaches in a lot of ways. We had a lot of young players that were able to contribute and help, and that's because we gave them an avenue and an opportunity to go make an impact. So right now it's about how fast we can find people that are above the line, that can play above the line football. And once we find that, those are guys that we have to figure out a way to get involved.
Hi, Coach. How was the coaches' getaway weekend, and was there some fun camaraderie among the group?
There were some great moments. We went to Central Oregon like we do every year for our staff retreat, and there's a lot of football in the first half of the day and some fellowship in the second half of the day, but we had a great time. A little whitewater rafting and some other stuff that happened as well, so it's fun to watch.
Big change this offseason was the difference in the offseason schedule with only one transfer portal window before spring ball. I'm curious, looking back, how did that ultimately change the construction of this roster and how you guys went about building this team?
I don't know how much it changed it. You get to the end of the spring and you say, okay, this is who we got. You got to work with the guys you have. I think it created a little bit more of a focus on improvement rather than figuring out, okay, is this guy comfortable in his role? Does he want to leave? Does he want to stay? I think us having the chance to say, walk into the spring, know who our team is in spring ball, and work with that team, all spring and summer. I think it's a huge benefit. Obviously, the negative is the portal opens while the season's still going on, and you deal with that a little bit. So doesn't change the construction a ton. Even going in spring last year, you want to build the best team you can possibly build before you get to spring, right? And that's no different. But you do then have the opportunity to say, okay, here's a hole that maybe we want to fill. Here's a hole that maybe we want to look at where you can bring guys in that can make an impact, and that wasn't the case this year.
Dan, how do you define success for fall camp when there's no games, there's no scores to keeping track? How do you define success for this team in fall camp?
Yeah, for us, it's improvement, right? Where guys step in, our guys making the same mistakes twice. Again, do they understand the concepts that we're trying to institute? Do our coaches really get comfortable in the roles that they're wearing? We have a lot of new coaches that are wearing new roles than what they've worn in the past, and making sure that we push those guys to level. And then you'd love to leave fall camp healthy, right? That's something you want to be able to accomplish and make sure you can go into the season, with a full clip.
There's momentum around the Protect College Sports Act now that the Big Ten and the SEC have thrown their weight behind it. I'm wondering your view on that and why maybe an employment model might not be a better approach for college football, for college sports in general.
Yeah, not really my lane. It's going to coach the team. Well, it's going to change. Football keeps changing. It's going to keep changing.
Hey, Coach, on Bree's question, you mentioned the fellowship. How important is that aspect of it once you get to the season with the new voices on the team, the new faces, the different things that happen during the season with pressure, stress, intensity, emotions? How important does that fellowship aspect be down the line?
Yeah, I always feel like connection, fellowship, like that's a huge piece for us, right? And that doesn't happen just in the summer. That doesn't just happen in spring or even just in fall camp. That's something we want to carry over. So we have to challenge ourselves to create those moments.
At Big Ten Media Days, you challenge your players to think back from 365 days from today. 365 days ago today, you said the theme going into last season was double down. If you could put it into words, kind of what's on your mind as far as a theme?
Yeah, not so much a theme, more than a vision. Our group created a vision board. It's called the Harada Method. Is really used by Shohei Ohtani when he's coming out of high school, and I think that's something that we're really focused on. Of okay, what do we want to accomplish, and what can we do today to get there?
Dan, you've had so much experience at quarterback in your years here, but Dante actually has more experience in your system than anybody you've had.
Yeah.
Do you guys come into this trying to expand what he does for you, or do you just want him to be sharper doing everything he's done before? And just how does that those 2 years of experience?
Combination of both. I mean, I think with any great player, you always say, what are they capable of? What can they handle? And the more they can handle, the more you throw at them, right? You throw the kitchen sink at them and see what they can do. But on the same note, let's not forget how we got here and what's made him really good in the past. So every player is different. Dante has a ton of experience. We're going to add wrinkles every single year on both sides of the ball and then special teams. So there's new things that we haven't done in the past that we're going to do now. There's certainly a lot that Dante can handle, but then there's times where you just like, hey, let's just call inside zone and let him hand the ball off, right? Or let's just throw 4 verts and let him take care of business there. So all the stress shouldn't be applied to Dante, right? But he's capable of a lot, so we're going to give him a lot.
Oregon head coach Dan Lanning. We've got more coming as we preview the start of fall camp. Brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Better cancer care close to home. The head man is in the studio. Rob Mullins joins us. Oregon Athletic Director next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
We know you turn to the Duck Store for all your game day needs. And for students at the University of Oregon, it's even more. Class supplies, jobs, a seat on our board, a place to take a quick coffee break. Because we're your student-first, nonprofit college store, every purchase you make directly supports the very community we serve. From working in our counters to studying in the classroom, from directing our stores to cheering in the stands, the people we serve, the students, are the very people who are the Duck Store.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
If you build a relationship, then it becomes easier. If you build trust, it becomes easier. As a parent, you want what's best for your child. To give them the love that a child needs is probably the best you can do for a teenager.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
You say you'd never give in to a meltdown and never fill your feed with kid photos. You say you'd never put a pacifier in your mouth to clean it and never let them run wild through the grocery store. So when you say you'd never let them get into a car without you there, no, it can happen. 1 in 4 hot car deaths happen when a kid gets into an unlocked car and can't get out. Never happens. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Athletic Director Rob Mullens is with us in the Country Financial Studio. Rob Mullens, welcome back.
Oh, great to be back.
How are things?
Things are great. I just had a great donor lunch
Good.
With my friend Dan Neal. And then bumped into Dante Moore on the way back into the building.
Yeah.
And then, Ryan Porter, who's going to now take on a student. I mean, literally in the last 10 minutes, all that happened.
I often say, I've said this to you before, that when fall camp gets rolling, media day often feels like the first day of school to me, like in childhood years. And I feel like we're kind of experiencing that.
We are kind of experiencing that. There's a new hub of activity around. You see our student athletes, our fall student athletes, getting their Duck Christmas with all
That's right.
new gear.
That's
and
right.
You start to see it on Nike.com and in the Duck store. So, yeah, and then the countdown begins to first event, which is fast approaching.
That's right. Oregon Soccer Exhibition this week. They've got 2 of them on the road this week and then getting ready for some events at Pat Bay Field. Little change with the soccer schedule. I mentioned a bit yesterday, Rob, that they've got extra 2 weeks of practice and training time heading into the season now, which has been nice.
No, it is nice. And, obviously you want as much time as possible to get prepared, particularly when you're playing in the Big Ten, no matter what the sport is.
That's right. I think every coach would say I always would like more practice time. Right?
Yeah, I popped over to Matthew Knight Arena to watch a little basketball practice before they head to Canada, and the fact that they are able to do an international trip affords them 10 extra practices. And when you have the type of roster turnover that we see in the transfer portal era, it helps.
And for those that don't know, that you can't do those international trips every year, right? They kind of come in on a cycle, if you will, and it just happened to work out that when you have a big roster turnover, it's a good year to have it work out this way.
It is a good year. And so, it'll be a good experience. And those 10 practices are very helpful.
Very helpful. What'd you do over the summer?
There's a lot going on in college athletics that has kind of kept me a little nailed down.
Sure.
As we've talked about on here before, I've probably seen more West Coast League collegiate wood bat baseball games than anybody that's listening to this, because my oldest son plays in the West Coast League, and Kelly Richardson and Ike Olson own a team in Springfield called the Springfield Drifters. I think it's a 54-game season, 27 of them at home. So I have seen a lot of West Coast League baseball. So happy to break it down with anybody that wants to connect with me.
There's some Americana to that, isn't there?
I love it. Yeah. I think Kelly and Ike do a phenomenal job, not only with the Springfield Drifters and the West Coast League, but just for youth baseball and for Oregon athletics. Some of you may remember Sam that played Oregon for baseball here. And so just wonderful what they do. I would encourage anybody who just wants a good summer baseball experience. It's collegiate baseball players from D1, Power 4,
all over the place.
And it's fun, and it's all up and down the West Coast. Springfield is the southernmost team. We're further south than Bend, right?
Yeah.
Southernmost team in the South Division. It's really competitive. It's really good, and what they've built at Hamlin Sports Complex is a lot of fun. And we have some connections there too. Some of our UO baseball interns and GAs and students work with them, and so there's just a lot of connections.
Well, last time you were on, we were talking about it's even a training ground for young broadcasters, right? Like there's a connection there.
Yes.
Knight has been worked for us in the past, right? And he's doing stuff.
Yeah, Knight does
awesome.
A phenomenal job. I don't know if you were watching last night.
I did miss it.
Because of the heat, he broadcast from a kiddie pool.
Nice.
So that's the kind of fun stuff you get.
So it's funny you say that, because I was about to say, like, it is in so many ways. It's like minor league baseball. It's kind of the audition of minor league baseball for a lot of the everyone, not just players.
No, it is, again, kudos to Ike and Kelly. They've done a phenomenal job of giving these young people an outstanding, really development ground in the summer. And many of you probably know Dom Graziano, who's working over there. Yep. A lot of the analytics guys. Knight does a phenomenal job. So they're just a really cool intertwine of baseball in the whole community, and it is a fun night out.
Well, and it's a good way, even I think, like you talk about the connections of Oregon athletics and what it does for the community at large. I mean, you and I have talked about it before, and I was going to ask you about things like Banana Ball, a concert at Opson,
absolutely,
and events at Hayward all summer.
Yeah, no, all this is good for the community. Like if you go to the Drifters, you're going to see Blake Stavros, who played at Willamette High School, who plays at Bushnell. Yep. And so same thing. When you can bring a Savannah Bananas to Autzen Stadium and that phenomenon, it was amazing. Yeah. What Jesse Cole has built is just incredible, and I've read about it and I watched a little bit on TV, but to experience it from beginning to end, of cutting the deal to executing and seeing what they're doing, it was amazing. And so many people came from far and wide, and then to have a Zach Bryan. I mean, essentially – the way we summed it up is, we had 7 home football games last year. We were fortunate to get a CFP home game. That's an 8th. The Bananas were like 2 additional home football games. That's 10.
Sure.
Zach Bryan is an 11. So our community really benefited from what's the equivalent of 11 home football games. That's pretty phenomenal.
And then the staff that makes it happen too. I always like to ask you that because this is an opportunity to say, hey, good job.
Yeah, well, a great job, and the extra commitment. That's the summer's the downtime.
It is.
Obviously people pay close attention to the Oregon events, but when you think about when our seasons ended, we hosted an NCAA track championship, the Nike Outdoor Nationals, the Prefontaine, the World Juniors are going on right now, 2 Banana Ball dates, a Zach Bryan date. And remember, even though Banana Ball was 2 days and Zach Bryan was 1, our staff is working days in advance and after for load in, load out setup. So, our staff had a very busy summer. Kudos to the whole team for delivering, obviously an exceptional experience. But, those are important events for our community.
Sure. Okay, so I've got a few caps you can choose from. If you want to do a hat tip with me.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you got to do the proverbial tip of the cap.
Absolutely.
Big
community. Tip of the cap, because that's, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
And that's all, other duties as a side.
Well, and it's funny. I mean, I got to experience those things mostly just as like a member of the community, right? Yeah. And that was a fun piece of I've often thought about like the other things that happen in my life just because of the chair that I'm fortunate enough to sit in. And I think everyone can kind of pinch themselves around here every now and then.
No, absolutely. And, I had a chance to, to work on the deal of bringing Savannah Bananas to Autzen Stadium and met Jesse Cole through that. But then to visit with him while he was here, I mean, you talk about somebody that lives the brand.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the first event's not till Saturday. On Thursday, I'm meeting with him. He's in yellow tux, yellow hat. Appreciated that he wore the Duck jersey and the Duck shoes, which was pretty cool.
Well, and then again, man of the brand. I mean, look at the lapel pin today, Rob.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
Good duck head pin. I mean, see, this is what we're talking about. Oregon Athletic Director Rob Mullens joining us. We've talked so much about the excitement from over the summer. You hit on the changes. Well, one thing that isn't changing is there's going to be football at Autzen Stadium coming up in a month.
Coming fast. We were at Big Ten Media Days last week. Dan and our 3 student athletes did a phenomenal job. So yeah, it's real. And yesterday was our local media day. When the players return, there's a number of checklist items that have to get done before they start practice. But here we go. Tomorrow it's go time.
It's go time. Yeah, I said the behind the scenes going on today. Many position groups. I'll just put it that way. You will not know this when you see it at Autzen Stadium, but whenever Tatum Tuiyoti's clapping like this and putting his hands in the air, that actually got shot today. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and that's they did a lot of that last week for Big Ten Media Days. Well, I was roaming around here Saturday, just doing some work, and I saw the Mo was open.
Yeah.
Stuck my head in, and Eric Evans is building a photo set.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, and photo shoots are a little different than they used to be 10 years ago.
No doubt. Believe me, we call them, I think you'll laugh at this, Rob. We call those days car washes.
Yes.
Because it is truly like each student athlete goes through all these different stations, much like you'd imagine a car wash would. And let's just say that the car wash tunnel's a little longer now than it used to be.
Well, and the photo props, I mean, Eric wasn't just carrying cameras. He had, cordless drills and plywood. And I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah, but then it turns out, as
boom,
it does,
you'll
and
see
go,
it.
Wow,
it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it
look
really
for the
is.
yellow background.
Look for the yellow background. It really is remarkable. And remember, we are a blue screen school. Because if we do green screens, everyone's going to have a floating head. So we are a blue screen school.
I did not think of that.
In
but
case
it makes
anybody
perfect
wonders
sense.
why there's blue sometimes at these things, well, that's why. We talked so much about the events over the summer too, Rob, and I mentioned like the changes, but also coming quick. I haven't mentioned Oregon volleyball, cross country, talked a little bit about soccer, but some excitement for those programs.
Exactly, same thing. Their media days are going. They're in practice and ready to go. I mean, I know both soccer and volleyball were able to do a little team retreat to Central Oregon to get ready and work around their leadership and vision and goals for the year and kind of cement everything before they hit the field and court. But yeah, really excited to see what's ahead.
And 2 construction projects continue that always, I know people want the update. If you go by MLK, there's a structure out there right now.
Yes, it grew. It came right out of the HDC, and the major steel pieces are up. And it is an impressive facility.
That's really amazing. As Dan Lanning said yesterday, it will be 1 of 1 upon completion. And there are some fields. You'll see football fields, partial football fields there that the Ducks will be utilizing here coming up as everything, again, it keeps churning, right? Nobody pauses fall camp for construction.
No, not here. And, the construction's going well. The team's doing a phenomenal job. And we just need to keep that thing on schedule.
And beach volleyball as well. If you go by that side of campus, maybe you're going over to Hayward for the World Juniors, you're going to see there is sand, there's a structure. It's starting to look like a true volleyball facility.
What a phenomenal site, And so, for those that follow it close, you probably saw the coaches and the student athletes out there for the first pouring of the sand.
Yeah,
but
cool.
Now the structure's even further developed, and it's right across from the front door of Jaquan. And I would encourage everybody to go take a look. It's just going to be an outstanding showcase for Oregon beach volleyball.
Great location. You talk about like the compound right around there now that is the athletics footprint.
Yeah, and it sets up well because beach volleyball has a locker room in Matthew Knight Arena. There's a great training room in there. So it sets up perfect.
2 more important notes since we last talked to you. We talked so much about the changes of college athletics, but remember, it's still student athlete. And whenever we get academic All-Americans, a couple of them coming from track and field now, pretty amazing.
Really amazing. Obviously, Dylan was an academic All-American in the fall, and to add 2 more track student athletes. We just keep continuing to add those up. And, what's always amazing is you talk about the impact of the Jaquan Center, which was a centerpiece asset from 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
I believe now over half of our academic All-Americans have occurred at the University of Oregon since that facility was open.
That's
which is
an
impressive
amazing number.
Yeah.
Boy, that's cool to think about, actually.
Yeah, and if we honor those student athletes with their name engraved in the floor in the entryway of the Jaquan Center. So it's a pretty special honor. It's a pretty special unveiling.
Yeah.
And listen, if you can be an elite level athlete and be a outstanding student, that's a great combination.
Congratulations to Wilma and Aiden both. That's a special. I know it means a lot to a lot of people when you see that name in the floor. And I want to back up, Rob, because I think that statistic, I don't want to overshadow what you just said, that you talk about the investment in student athletes. Boy, that is a big I guess, data point to reference the investment.
It is a huge data point, and when you look at the vision for what that facility could do, and the improvement in the programming, it all is delivering. Because when you're an academic All-American, that's the top of the game.
That's cool.
And yeah, we've been able to help some student athletes achieve that lofty goal.
Well, that's outstanding. Well, we're only going to do one segment of Athletic Director Tuesday today. No offense, Rob, but we've got a lot of football interviews from
Good
Media Day festivities to get to. So anything else that fans should know here?
No, it's here, right? Again, I think what we always talk about, we have this incredibly supportive fan base, and as we get ready to start women's soccer and volleyball and cross country and football, our fans can make a difference, and they always do.
Here we go. Yeah, I asked everybody, and you'll hear some of these interviews later in the week. I asked all of the student athletes that did. We were part of the car wash. We were part of the media gauntlet. And I asked all of them, what's the one thing you want to know? And I'm going to bet you about 3/4 of them said, just bring the noise at Autzen Stadium. That's all we need fans to know.
Yeah, and when we talk to our peers around the country, and we still have some league members making their first visits here, they are always blown away, because in this league you'll go to a lot of stadiums that are 80, 90, 100 plus, but 60,000 delivers us more decibels than some of those others.
Not bad. He's Oregon Athletic Director Rob Mullens. I believe we're talking to you again game week, so take a breath every now and then in the next few weeks.
Let's do it. Let's get ready.
All right. When we come back, Coach Lanning continuing to preview fall camp. A ton of student athletes to get to as well on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Looks like summer fun's still going at Toyota's National Sales Event.
Event ends August 31st. Dealer inventory may vary. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
At Toyota's National Sales Event, turn your end of summer scaries into end of summer woes.
Whoa!
Whoa! Choose a Tundra, 4Runner, or an all-electric BZ.
Event ends August 31st. Dealer inventory may vary. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Toyota, let's go places.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
Let's take a moment to breathe. Deep inhale. Extend your spine. Remain focused on what you're doing. If safe to do so, exhale slowly, leaning to one side. Inhale back to center. If safe to do so, exhale slowly to the opposite side. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. This message is brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ed Council.
Put your phone on D&D, that means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always sing with me. So put your phone on D&D, that means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always remember this beat.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. OnPoint Community Credit Union has been Duck Insider's show sponsor for about a decade now, and we begin another year with our friends from OnPoint. I'm really excited to give you a little tease of what's to come, because OnPoint originated actually as a credit union for teachers in Portland. Obviously, have expanded since then. And we have some fun connections with some Duck student athletes and teachers that I'm really excited for here moving forward, and I hope we'll be able to bring some of that to you shortly here as we go through fall camp. On that note, you talk about teachers, education. I think it's safe to say that Dan Lanning is one of the better motivational teachers around college football. A lot of coaches, all coaches are teachers. His parents were teachers. Dan Lanning, meeting with the media, part 2 of his press conference previewing the start of fall camp.
How much of an adjustment is it to have 2 new coordinators coming in, and how much does it help that they are internal hires?
Yeah, there's benefits. There's positives and negatives to each one of those things, right? When you stay in-house, maybe you don't create as many new ideas. I'm really excited about the new ideas that we've had brought with both those guys. How much of an adjustment? It's an adjustment, but it's one that we've been through. 2 is a little bit different than 1. But I think there's always a lot of communication on coaching staffs that do a good job. And the key is how quickly can we all be on the same page. There's not drastic changes schematically in what we're doing with the new hires. So now it's more about experience and giving those guys the time and the opportunity to lead the coaches, lead the players, and go execute on the field.
I want to circle back to the O-line. This might be a little convoluted, so bear with me here. So you lost 3 players to the NFL, 3 starters, who were transfers, who were clearly brought in to fill holes, but you didn't run right out to get more transfers to fill those holes, which is a clear indication that you feel really good about your young linemen. So what's different about this group of linemen, their development, comparison to the group of linemen that maybe needed help from transfer?
Yeah, I think, one, you look at Coach Terry's history and what he's been able to do. The first year, as good as Alik is, and I think he's, the best, if not, one of the best, if not the best O-line coach in the nation. You look at the reality is we weren't able to hit home runs on every position as we were recruiting early in this process, finding the guys that we can go compete for. Now you're finishing, 3 years later since Alik's been here, and we've had, 3 Joe Moore Award finalists O-lines with a lot of different people in those lineups. So we've attracted some really good players, guys that we have confidence in, that we think can make a big impact. It's a really hard position to go make an impact quick, right? And you look back even to Josh Connerly, he played some as a freshman, but he played tight end at times. He'd be our 6th O-lineman. He'd rotate in. I think that this year could look a lot like this, where you have 6, 7, 8 guys even that are rotating in as players, and their roles grow throughout the season based on how they do in their roles. But we had a lot of confidence in the guys that we had in that room that we didn't need to reach as long as we continue to develop that talent.
What were the benefits of the trip to Japan? Can you kind of elaborate on the trip and how it helped your team?
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways, starting just with our players, the exposure to a different culture, the recognition of what else exists out there, how special a place like Japan and Tokyo are, and even though there might be differences, there's some really unique things you can learn there. For us as a program, I think there's a lot of benefits in the exposure that we get over there and creating some worldwide fans in Japan. No reason we can't be their favorite, college football team. And then, the opportunity to just fellowship again. We talk about how connection's important, the chance to play a little football while we're over there, but also get exposed to some unique things.
You talked about how improvement at fall camp is probably the most important focus, but how important is it also maybe trying to find an identity during fall camp? Is that something you can do, or is that something you really only discover once the season kind of gets underway, both offensively and defensively?
I think that ultimately for us, our culture and what we've been over the previous years has helped form kind of that identity. The key is to solidify it throughout fall camp. So what's won games for us in the past has to be the same thing that wins games for us in the future. Our ability to tackle well, our ability to block, execute plays at a high level. So that's what you refine. It doesn't necessarily change the picture of who we are. There'll be little things here on each side of the ball that maybe look a little bit different, but if you don't block well, it doesn't matter, right? If you don't tackle well, it doesn't matter. So it's really about fundamentals, technique, and effort that we have to maximize in fall camp.
I think at this time last year, the construction of the new practice facility kind of really got underway. Just looking at it today and knowing by, I think next time next year, it'll be completely done. Just what kind of role does that play in recruiting and just the vision that you talked about of what you want to build here at Oregon?
Yeah, I think ultimately it gets everybody anxious and excited when it is done. Every day you drive up here and you see it, you're like, I can't wait to be using that thing. There's modifications this year, just like there was last year. We do have some temporary fields that we're able to use now out there. They're not full fields. When that's all done, it's going to completely change the program from a standpoint of, I think it'll be one-on-one. I don't think anybody in the nation will have anything that quite compares to what we'll have there. And that certainly helps in recruiting. That certainly helps in development. And that's the goal, of that entire facility, is to make the best, options possible for our players and their growth.
You say every offseason that you guys adapt scheme to personnel, not personnel to scheme. How much of that is done in the offseason? How much of that do you guys have done already, or how much do you just need to figure out over this next few weeks of fall camp?
Yeah, combination of both. Again, we'll have some different personnel groups that we haven't had in the past based on trying to figure out how we can highlight players, put them in good positions. Some of it's scheme. I mean, there's a lot of things that we did differently last year with Dylan Thieneman that we haven't done in the past because we felt it fit like his skill set really well. So it'll be a combination. We've done some of that in the offseason. Now you test some of that theory a little bit in fall camp. We've tested some of that theory in spring ball. But certainly that'll be a piece of it this fall.
Kind of a question about the tight end group and Jamari's role there, bringing everybody along, but not a lot of experience around him, and just kind of what maybe the early signs are from some of those other guys.
Well, we haven't practiced yet, right? But I am excited about the group. Obviously, Jamari's a dynamic player that can line up wide as a wideout. He can line up in the backfield. He can line up at tight end. So we know we have that, right? What will be with that is, it's going to be a matter of what the next few weeks in fall camp look like. Who else can take that role similar to what he took this past season. And we have some guys that we think are capable, and Andrew, Marcus that just joined us, Kendre, new freshman, AJ, guys that have been in that room before. But that's what fall camp's for, is to find out.
Devin Jackson's a guy who was a little banged up at the start of last year, but comes into a big role this year with Bryce gone. I'm wondering, how important it is to see him come into his own and then, work alongside a guy like Jerry.
we're going to be a really good team if Devin's able to play the way he's capable of. And he's always had a unique skill set, but he just wasn't himself as he went into last season. And he missed spring ball. You know, he's had a really good offseason. He's been able to be healthy throughout it. He's shown a lot of great leadership skills. And he has some experience. He's a guy that's been here longer than a lot of these other guys. So excited for Devin, for him to be healthy and go attack fall camp. But the work he's done this offseason is going to certainly be a big benefit.
When did you become exposed to the Harada method, and what's the appeal for you for this large of a group of players to use that?
You know, we work kind of hand in hand with Corey Schaefer, who's worked with our team and some of our, you know, our messaging, some of our stuff that we do in the off season. And then, you know, even local guy, Jamin Yee, who sent me, you know, a text message of an early article about, you know, the Harada method is something that I was kind of studying before. And then Corey and I both actually sent it to each other. So it kind of worked out. It was like, okay, this might be something we want to surround some of our thought process. And it started a little bit with our leadership group. When we did our leadership retreat, went through it and kind of built out some of our vision boards. Some of our players have done the same thing individually. But yeah, it kind of grew from there.
So I know it's not your lane and you can't control it, but given that football is going to change, like you said, do you enjoy the puzzle of having to adjust to a new system every year? Or do you think the sport needs to choose a path and stick with it for a while, essentially?
Yeah, I just think it's really hard when you create new rules, and you can't ever put the toothpaste back in the tube. You know, I think that's a challenge. But I do enjoy the challenge of everybody has to adapt. Can we be the team that adapts better than anyone else? I just think the reality is that things will continue to change. So let's continue to be a team that can adapt.
Coach, if you could pick one word to describe the mindset of this team going into this season, what word would you pick and why?
So many words to choose from. Probably hungry, but I've probably said that before. Like this group's hungry, you know, to get out there and work. That'd probably be the word that I would use to describe it.
I think that's a good description when you're heading into camp tomorrow. Ducks get on the practice field here around the Autzen Complex. Got to start saying Autzen Complex because it's not just at Autzen Stadium here during construction. There's the Mo, there's outside the new indoor practice facility. A lot of fun with all the construction. That's Dan Lanning, brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Better cancer care close to home. Coming back to the Country Financial Studio, a ton of student-athlete interviews for you. That's next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by one of your local branches today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Winning doesn't happen by accident. It takes a playbook, one that works when the pressure's on. For 35 years, Morgan & Morgan has been that playbook for the injured, recovering more than $35 billion for our clients. This season, we're proud to partner with Oregon Athletics, because in football and in the courtroom, the right playbook gets results. Morgan & Morgan, proud partner of Oregon Athletics. Injured? Dial #law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you. 10150 Southwest 6th Avenue, Portland. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome.
You're listening to Duck Insider. On the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
When I met both of them, it was like my missing pieces were found. Like it was just like an instant, these are my kids. If you're considering adopting a teen, just do it. Kids need families. I don't care the age, everybody deserves a family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
My name is Teresa Barber. I was in the United States Navy, and I served overseas in the Middle East and Africa. Early on in my career, I had a commander that taught our suicide prevention training, and the very next day, he took his own life. 90% of suicide attempts involving a gun are fatal. My way of continuing my service is to help protect my community by being a responsible gun owner and by storing firearms safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
It's Doug Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joy back in the Country Financial Studio. We have a number of student athletes that were here in the Country Financial Studio yesterday. We'll have a lot of those interviews for you tomorrow. We're going to hear from Duck quarterback Dante Moore. But first, I want to jump in today to Janoris Wilson, one of many players, student athletes that sat up in the club at Autzen and went through the media gauntlet, taking questions. I go to Janoris Wilson because he was a guy that was a little banged up in the spring, now getting healthy, and I think a lot of fans are wondering about the Oregon offensive line. How many players will the Ducks rotate? What's the competition like on the O-line? Dan Lanning said when he was in the Country Financial Studio yesterday that he's excited for the competition on the offensive line. Let's break it down with Janoris Wilson.
I feel pretty good. Great offseason. Great, just a lot of work put into the offseason, just getting the body right, getting the mind right, everything right, all aspects of it, just to get back. So, yeah, pretty good.
Was it a foot injury?
Yes, sir.
And you're fully cleared, you're feeling good, everything's, you're practicing on Wednesday, you're thinking?
Yes, sir.
What's this, I guess, kind of what's the message about this offensive line group right now going in, where there's a couple returning starters, but there's a lot of, I guess, question marks, it feels like?
Yeah, it's a lot of new guys. For the lack of experience that we have, I would say within the game, we have a lot of experience with skill. So I would say just proving the world wrong. I would say just going out and just being the best version that we can be week in and week out. I feel like that's the motive for us.
Aside from getting healthy, kind of what were some of your goals this offseason?
Just to get here, honestly. That was my main goal, just get back, honestly. But outside of that, outside of football, just getting a better life, just making my life better, easier for me. You know, there's a lot of things that we happen to do outside of football. That's just a better life.
Yeah,
just
I get you.
Getting better outside of football. That's all.
How comfortable? I guess what's your comfort level now with this group, working with the league for a handful of years here, and kind of like taking that next step to being maybe one of those full-time guys who starts each Saturday?
Comfortable, but not complacent.
Yeah.
I would say it's just always looking to get better no matter what. No matter how comfortable you feel, you never really arrive, I would say. So just always looking to get better.
You work on a new touchdown dance?
Yeah.
You did work on
Got
one?
some new ones, yeah. Y'all gonna see it. Heck yeah.
I was half joking, but okay.
I got some
Can
for
we
you.
get a preview, or?
Nah.
Break it out.
How does
That's
this
for
offensive
real.
line look to you? I mean, you guys lost 3 starters to the NFL. Lanning did go out and get a bunch of transfers. He says that this group is really developed under Terry. How do you feel about this group?
I feel like everybody's ready at their own pace, and I feel like everybody's just putting in the work. We've all put in work this offseason, and I'm just excited to see how this count. This is my first time playing since November, so I'm personally excited to see just to get back out there with the guys and just go. I feel like all the guys have their own attributes and traits that they do that makes them good and special. So I'm just excited to see it all put together, this camp especially.
Is the competition going to be pretty fierce? It sounds
Pretty fun, pretty fierce and fun. We made the best 5-1.
And are you having to be in this position where you're trying different positions, not just settling on the right tackle? Are you working at guards? Are you provide that versatility?
Yes, sir. Just keeping my I'm just a football player.
Right.
I'm an offensive lineman. Whatever position they need me to play, I'll play. I'm willing to do whatever.
What was the spring like for you in terms of not necessarily the physical part, but not being able to compete and just kind of watching? Was that challenging knowing what was available to you?
It was hard. It was really, really hard because we'll be up doing Metcon, so we won't get a chance to be on the field. So it'll be hard just watching the guys just play. You know, it's been something that you've been doing for a long time. So when it gets taken away from you, you just have a lot of appreciation for it. Just to be around it is just a blessing, I'll say. So it was just hard, but I'm grateful to be back and just ready to put my foot down and get forward.
A lot of times people come away from an injury like a spring or a fall and with kind of a new appreciation, but also like maybe they learned some things just from being kind of an observer. Were there some things maybe you took away from spring?
Yeah, I've watched the guys. I learned a lot of techniques and just things that they do. I try to attribute to my game. How can I make my game better using what they do as well? So I'm just being a student of the game always and just learning.
With those older starters coming in last year, even beyond on the field, what did you learn from them in terms of the way they approach the game, prepare, and just some things off the field?
Yeah, I would say I learned how to just be a veteran player. You know, it was a lot. Emmanuel, Harkey, and World. You know, they're players that have a lot of experience within the game. So it's just coming in, just seeing how they move throughout every single day, and just throughout practice, just picking up some good attributes and not the bad attributes that they had. And it was just amazing to see the way that they work.
Was it like a really bittersweet day in Iowa where you get your first start and then I think you get hurt during that game? Can you walk us through what that day was like?
Yeah, it just happens, man.
Yeah.
I don't really know. It was a great game. I had hurt myself like the second drive of the game, so I played the rest of the game on my foot. So I knew it was something wrong, but I didn't know how bad it was. So I thought just something I can walk off, but I couldn't, unfortunately. But we prevailed and got the win. The job got done. That's all that mattered, honestly. But it was an amazing game.
Yeah, it was one of the better, probably the best game of the year maybe for you guys. What stands out from some of these younger, maybe not necessarily tackles, but just offensive linemen that you've kind of observed?
I'll say the tenacity and effort that they bring. I feel like this year everybody has had a voice, whether it be older or younger. We try to implement that in other years. But I feel like this year we set our standard even higher this year, and I feel like it's really been done. And it's really been set this year from the older to the younger guys. So yeah.
What does it say about your group though that they didn't go out and get a bunch of transfers? Because the 3 guys you sent to the NFL were transfers. We were here to fill holes. They didn't really do that. So what does that say about you guys?
I think it says a lot about the trust that they have within us, the trust that they have within the room, that we're able to get the job done with be a multitude of guys, or not just a few guys. Like the whole room is able to hold their own, whether they need to get their number called up whenever it needs to be. So I would say that, just a lot of trust, and we appreciate them for that as well.
We've heard a lot about how hungry Evan Stewart has been coming back from his long-term injury. Just seeing that, how have you kind of felt the same motivation, I guess, coming back to the game?
Yeah, just amazing to be back, man. You know, it's something that you just grow up doing every single day of your life, especially, you know, when fall gets here and stuff like that. So it's just a newfound appreciation for it, but even the little details, like just love for it, doing everything right, wanting to do everything right as well. So I'll say that.
Did anyone ask about a big man touchdown? No. Can we expect another one?
Hopefully we're going to get another one this year, but even better than this year. So
just,
yeah.
You know, reminiscing about that time, did that kind of help your recovery process, thinking back at that moment to say like, oh, I got to get back right so that I can have another fun opportunity like that?
Definitely gave me a pedestal to want to get back on, I'll say, just to get back faster, more reliant, you know, better, healthier, just willing to get back even more faster.
Just talk about the difference between last year and now with Merringer, just kind of what we can expect.
Yeah, I think Drew's an amazing guy. He's been here for 4 years, I want to say, as long as I've been here. So we've got full trust in him. Our whole offense is behind him. We all believe that he can get the job done, do what he needs to do. So yeah, we really love Drew.
Are there any players that you're really excited for the fans to see this year? Maybe a younger player that you think is ready to have a breakthrough, maybe?
I'm ready to see, on the other side of the ball, I'm ready to see Brandon Finney. I've been seeing a lot of the work he's put in, just the way he moves and just acts. I really like him a lot, so I'm really excited to see what he can do this year, just to keep elevating.
Hey, Janoris, Fox was talking about mentoring, like Nacho. Have you been kind of taking that role on at all? Like, what have you been seeing from the young guys coming in from this class?
Yeah, we're trying to, as vets, we're trying to keep and uphold the standard with all our younger guys, especially the younger guys that come in as like true freshmen. So just staying on them, just not without football, not just football, but through all aspects, just showing them how to do it the right way. All of us, all the vets in the room, just taking upon us to mentor all the younger guys. I'll say, not just him as well. So, but we've enjoyed many though. He is a very, very smart guy, very kind guy. And he's a hard worker as well. So,
Janoris Wilson, one of the vets of the O-line room now. That's a group that's had a lot of guys that have been around and now are going to increase that snap count here this season. Timeout, come back, wrap things up for today on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills, we're more than just a country club. We're where family, fun, and connection come together. Enjoy our award-winning course, vibrant year-round events, and the warm camaraderie of fellow members. Our all-inclusive event spaces offer both indoor and outdoor settings, perfect for weddings, business events, holiday parties, and more. Whether you're in search of championship golf, lively social gatherings, or simply a welcoming community to call home, Shadow Hills is the place where you belong.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
This is Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
This message is for Shauna, my mom, who just finished her high school diploma. I wanted to say I'm so proud of you for finishing school. You told me it's never too late to achieve your dreams. I hope to make you as proud as you have made me.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Don't act like that. Don't wear that. Don't think that. I've heard everything you tell yourself every time you felt different. And I want you to know that you can be vulnerable and powerful. That taking care of your mind is taking care of everyone you love and who loves you. Love your mind. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Final segment, Oregon Soccer has an exhibition in Portland coming up tomorrow. It is going to be televised on ESPN Plus for those of you who aren't able to make it out to Portland. The Ducks with their exhibition season beginning at 6 o'clock tomorrow. And then they are taking on Idaho on the road in Moscow coming up at 1 o'clock on Saturday. Oregon Soccer exhibition season starts this week. Oregon Volleyball exhibition season going to be coming at you before you know it. On Saturday the 15th, the green and yellow scrimmage at 1 o'clock at Matthew Knight Arena. And that's following the official start to the Oregon athletic season this year. On the 13th of August, next Thursday, in Hillsboro, Oregon Soccer takes on Portland State at 7 o'clock. A road trip to Hillsboro. Hope to see a lot of Duck fans there. I'm planning on making the trip up myself. I haven't seen a soccer matchup for the Duck soccer team in Hillsboro ever in my life. So I figured, well, I'm going to take the family up. Oregon football, I believe, is off that day. It's an off day, so we go from football to soccer, heading up to Portland. I'm looking forward to it. Janoris Wilson, though, just one final thought on that offensive line group. Coach Lanning mentioning, like, the Ducks could rotate 6-8 guys. I mean, Oregon's had a lot of guys that are developing in this system, and now it's their time to shine. That was kind of the theme from Malik Terry in the spring. I look forward to seeing that in fall camp. But I fully admit that that might be one of the spots where my eyes go as the Ducks are starting practice here this week, tomorrow to be exact. Thanks to Rob Mullens. Thanks to Dan Lanning. Tomorrow, a ton of interviews here in the Country Financial Studio talking Duck football. See you then.
I'm a pretty great multitasker. I can wash dishes and do laundry. I can roller skate while walking my dog. I can even order lunch while doing my homework. But I can't use my phone while driving. A distracted driver is one of the leading causes of death in the United States. So when it comes to driving, please,